Hello, just a second. Thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi. Let me check the audio first. Just a second. Check. There we go. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi. 9 o'clock p.m. Sorry to be late. Sorry to be late a little bit. Let me just have myself on. Where am I? All right, so this is the live streaming where I talk about Sashiko while doing the Sashiko stitching. This is not lecture, tutorials, or webinars, so I'm not gonna answer any technical questions that I have to stop stitching, but I'm happy to answer any other cultural questions as well as the, some stories about Sashiko. No cameras? Camera's on, right? I think it's all good. Whew. Few announcement. I do have some workshops scheduled for the 2025. Just a second, sorry. Yep, I don't think I will have another workshop in 2024. I don't think so. So if you'd like to learn Sashiko from me in person, please check the descriptions area for the workshop schedules in 2025. And we will have the Sashiko Japan retreat or tour. I probably rephrase it from tour to retreat in 2025 as well. It's going to be in October or November. I do not know yet exactly. I am planning to make a final decision in December this year to see when is going to be a good time for that. But if you are interested in that, please check the website, and if you could leave the waiting list, if you could leave your name on the waiting list, I can send you the information before I make it public. So please check them out. And that's about it, I guess. So workshop and Sashiko Japan retreat. Those two are the announcement. I will change the camera a little bit, just a second. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. Whew. What was I doing? Just a second, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't mention that, but so this is the live streaming where I talk about Sashiko while doing some Sashiko stitching here. So nothing specific happened here besides me stitching. So if you can bring some of your Sashiko project and stitch together and listen to me as if it's a radio, that will serve the point. Still, my throat is a little weird, so I may go easy on that. So I might not do more than a year, not a year, more than 1 hour. But if you could keep enjoying that, that'd be great. Just let me find it. Sorry, it's not really organized today. We wore your voice out on Zoom. Probably, and I don't mind that. I really don't mind that. I just don't like kind of sniffing in front of the camera, in front of the audio. So I try to be out of that. So yes, I do have like a live gathering every month for those who are on Patreon and as well as those who took my online class or in-person class. It's like a live streaming where we can chit-chat together, and we had a pretty good 90 minutes actually. That was more than, wow. We were stitching and talking for 90 minutes. That's pretty interesting. I didn't feel like it was like that. But yeah, this is my understanding of what Sashiko really is. It is not about design, it's not about art, it's not about technique, specific technique, it's not about sustainability. It's more like the action of getting together throughout doing something. And I'm really happy that I can offer those things. Anyway. I brought some topic today. I will probably go easy on that, but I made actually the video about the one topic I am planning to talk about is the word N, E-N, and N is one of the sound. We have a lot of meanings. It can be the currency, it can be the circle, it can be the kind of connection, or one meaning which can be translated as a connection bond is not explaining it well by just direct translation. And I was going to talk about it in this live streaming, but when I kind of writing a note about it to prepare, it became pretty complicated. So instead I decided to make a video. So I will talk about it once again, but at the same time, if you could watch that video, that'd be great. It's only 5 minutes or so, so it's probably very well summarized. It's not like me talking about that for 50 minutes. It's really... that's one of those Japanese words that we cannot translate. We cannot find a direct match in the English. And the second topic is about a little bit of internet meme, or some of those... How can I say that? It's some of the discussion. No, I don't know if it's a discussion, but there were some tourists to Japan, and they were dancing like a TikTok. They were dancing in some area that they are not supposed to, like public place. Not great, but in the train, not good, but one was in the shrine gate, and that was quite, how can I say, disrespectful for the culture. But the dancing itself is not the matter of, it's not good, but it's not something that I am going to pick up as the topic to discuss. It's about the reaction to that. And there was one non-Japanese person, I don't know if she's Japanese, but she wrote in Japanese that saying, what is the problem with that? And I learned that some people, regardless of the Japanese or non-Japanese or cultural difference, many people, or they find that it's very problematic to do so in those like a sacred place. And it is quite important to explain like why is that sacred? So sacred place is sacred. Discussion may be kind of folded into if it's okay to do so when they have a permission to do it. So let's say if, I don't think the shrine gave them the permission to do that, but we don't know that for sure. Let's say they had a permission to do so, which means they can do it. The question will be, can doesn't mean it's okay to do. in some level. Can usually means it's okay to do it from the legal perspective or logistical, like logic perspective. But there are other factors, and I think Sashiko I'm trying to convey is there a little bit. Something that cannot be controlled by the logic, law, or that something is really difficult to explain, but I hope that one day I can explain that. But we believe that there are spirit in the, well, pretty much everything, and then shrine gate is quite, we call it tori. Tori is pretty important because that's the gate where the spirit, it's not a god, it's probably spirit goes through. And dancing at, if it's like dancing at night where nobody is, that might be a different story. But dancing when many people are trying to respect that place can be problematic. And I'm trying to find a way to explain why it is kind of like a taboo for some people, yet for the other people it's okay to do it. Well, the dancing people were the foreigners. The people who were dancing on the TikTok or I don't know social media were non-Japanese foreigners, and many Japanese people kind of reply to that or comment on that with frustration or anger. And the comment I'm trying to kind of raise up today is the reaction from one person who picked up that video saying that why is it wrong, and that person who wrote why is it wrong was written in Japanese language, but I think I don't know if she's Japanese or not, but she looked like not Japanese. And that person's logic is, why is it bad to take a video if it's okay to take a photo? So many people take a photo with a shrine gate in it, and it is okay to do that. And for some reason, I think it's okay too. But doing the video dancing was not okay, and I think the point is that her point was pretty strong because she's kind of clarified that many Japanese getting frustrated to that video is angry because that was done by non-Japanese. If the Japanese did it, the same thing, the other Japanese wouldn't be upset. Well, probably, not probably, it does not matter who did it. It's just, it is wrong to do that. And I would like to have the word, or I would like to have the ability to explain what is so wrong on that. When in Rome, when you go to another country, learn the freaking culture. Well, that's the conclusion. That is the conclusion. that's the conclusion. But the person who criticized that, what is the wrong point on that, claimed that she understands the Japanese culture. So that's the point that I would like to bring up. Those dancers are kind of something I cannot even comment because we all agree that it's, it's disrespectful, but that's another case of disrespecting tourism. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's really frustrating. It's tiring. But the point this discussion makes it more interesting. I don't know if interesting is a good word, but interesting is that there was a person who can speak Japanese who claimed that she understands Japanese culture, yet not understanding this subtle, or not even understanding, not paying attention to that subtle. And I don't think many Japanese people can explain why it is bad to dance in this shrine gate and film it. There are laws to prohibit that. You cannot do it, like, if it's bothering others, you cannot do that from the legal perspective. But it's more than the legal category. And I don't have the word, though. I don't have the story, I don't have the sentence, not a sentence, the story to explain why it is so wrong. So and I think by me thinking about why it is not okay will help me to understand why the Sashiko I see in English is not wrong from the technical perspective or the design perspective. It's not wrong, but kind of wrong from the other side of the spectrum. Intention dancing to celebrate a spirit out be one thing, perhaps, versus dancing just for attention. Maybe so. Well, dancing to celebrate the spirit. Dancing itself can be pretty spiritual, yes, but I don't know if there are any dancing that happens under the shrine gate. Shrine gate is kind of different. It's quite different. I'm sick of hearing about foreigners who are always doing crap like that. It's wrong because it's common sense. You just do not disrespect for another culture's religious laws. That common sense is the key. And I would like everybody to enjoy Sashiko, but in order to be able to teach Sashiko as the expert, not the guide, as the expert, I think that understanding of that common sense is very important. And I don't think those Sashiko teachers I see or those authors who publish book do understand that common sense. That's why there are little subtle things missing from the Sashiko teaching today in English. Once again, if they are teaching as like a guide to introduce what Sashiko is, not claiming themselves as the master or the expert, that's a different story. They can. It's good to teach that, but if they claim themselves that they understand everything or the whole picture of that, the common sense is something we have to kind of clarify. Yet common thing comes from the common thing, right? Ordinary thing. So we do have a different common sense. So, well, I mean, that's where the cultural appropriation kicks in, I guess. I still keep receiving interesting comments on my video about cultural appropriation. If you haven't watched that before, please take a look at it. Please watch it though. Please do not react to the title or first few sentences based on the fact that you may think that I may be talking about, because I probably will be talking about something opposite of what they think. But there are two extreme reaction to that video. It's kind of interesting. Actually, common sense is disappearing from this world. That is so strong and sad. That's sad. That's really strong. That's probably true, but that's really sad. So what is it becoming? What is replacing that? So common sense has become something else. The freedom of choice or freedom. Freedom. I don't know what freedom is about, but some people go to other countries to enjoy themselves as if they are at an amusement park. Then they behave without respect or common sense. I think people have been saying that about common sense forever. Common sense is very difficult, yet it's very, 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 very important, yet very difficult. The common sense in general is probably disappearing, and I kind of agree with that. But I can only talk about a Japanese culture because that's the only culture I grew up with. I'm trying my best to understand the American culture as my daughter's common sense, but I still am learning. Japanese culture, I think I do have it as the common sense. So I think we still do have them, which for Japanese it's quite significant. Like for example, we have a word called genkan, and genkan is a place where you take off shoes for that. Like there's a place specifically for that purpose. Genkan is a place where you take off shoes or put shoes on. There's a space for that purpose only. And I don't know if we have the word genkan in English. Huh? Front porch is not exactly equal to that genkan. It's like it's not the mud room. Mud room can be. It's like a front of the entrance and front entrance. Well, actually, each entrance has the kind of a genkan place. But when we visit somewhere there are genkan, it is common sense. Like every single Japanese know that they will have to take off their shoes. It's not a question. It's not a matter of discussion. It's just common sense. And don't dance under the shrine gate is like that. If the kid does it, then it's a parent's responsibility to educate that, discipline that. So, well, I mean, like, when you go to the bathroom, when you do those, when you go to the bathroom, I hope it is a common sense that we wash hand. I don't know if that's the common sense anymore or not, but if somebody do something nice to you, you can say thank you, right? That's kind of common sense, I guess. If we agree that the common sense are gone, that's probably gone too, but we do have a lot of common sense in Japan, and I believe that each culture has many common sense or like a mutual agreement, unspoken mutual agreement. And so it's in Sashiko too. I just don't know what it is exactly because it's too natural for us. So my mission is to kind of clarify one by one what is missing. Good evening. Thank you for coming. Oh yeah. Well, I hope one day that this common sense will be the mainstream of Sashiko too. At this moment, it's not really the mainstream. Well, one thing I can say for sure is that Sashiko has become something else in English. That's quite. I think it's okay. It's safe for me to say that at this moment. It has become something different, completely different. It's not really the same as the modern version of Sashiko 2 in Japan. The Sashiko changes over time, and that's perfectly fine. But the drastic change happened when they came over the ocean, ocean, and the culture for that matter. In my opinion, I think they know better, but they want to do whatever they want to do and not think about consequences. That's I agree with that. At the same time, they probably are expecting certain consequences. If they need attention, that's a kind of good way to get attention. If they define attention, it's like a publicity. Some people say any publicity is a good publicity. If they consider any attention is a good attention, then they are winning by doing that. I think same in Sashiko the same too. If they don't care about what it is, their goal may be to sell Sashiko product or Sashiko related items. In that case, it doesn't really matter what they know, what they don't know. All they have to do is to get attention. And, we might call that a marketing or strategies to be successful in the business, and that's one way. That's a one way to do it. But I find it kind of non-fair or kind of even disgusting that people say, kind of fake it. They fake themselves that they care for the culture. If they declare that they don't care about the culture, only things they care about is money and attention, that's why we are modifying the culture of Japanese. In that case, I am okay because they are honest. I have a way to live with that. I don't have to even compete. I don't even have to compete or get rid of that. If they want to use the word Sashiko for the profit purely, I think it's one way to go with it. The problem is that when they deceive others by saying that they are caring for the culture, yet they're not caring, then it's deceiving the majority of people. It's like mixing gem and stone into the same pile. Those beginners do not really distinguish what is authentic, what is truth, what is original or not. They probably want to listen to whatever they want to listen to. So if they're dancing in front of Japan, like in Shrine Gate, and saying like, all I need is the attention and money, so give it to me. It's not great. I don't enjoy that. It's frustrating, but I understand that. It's disgusting, but I understand it. It becomes a problem when others around that start saying that I understand Japanese culture, but if what's wrong with that is a very, very wrong statement, because then they don't understand Japanese culture at all. Well. When I go to my American friend's apartment or house, the first I do is take off my shoes unless I'm told to keep my shoes on. Yeah, so in the American house, it's really depends on it's like a house rule. It's like freedom of choice, I guess. It's a choice. But in some culture, it's not a choice. It's like a mutual agreement, unspoken rules. And this might sound a little bit of contradicting, but breaking the rules as a foreigner tourist are not something I'm talking about here today. That's not okay, but that happens. Unfortunately, that happens. What I'm trying to say is that those who claim that they understand the culture, yet they do not get the point. Those are the issues that I'm kind of trying to. It is our responsibility to explain why it is so wrong, and I wish I have a word for that today. And I will have to think about it more, why it is wrong. But at the same time, I don't want to jump to the conclusion that it's okay because I cannot explain why it's wrong. We don't have Genkan word because we don't have that culture. It's very specific and designated space in Japan. That's probably so. And that is the same as the NEN that I was talking about in the beginning of this live streaming. So this is called Shippo pattern. It's exactly the same thing I used in the online video, but this is called Shippo patterns, and this circle is called N. In Japanese, N is the circle, and also the same word N can mean the connection, bond. What did I say else? Karma? Like fortunate. It's a very fortunate to meet, or fortunate, like even like a fate for that matter. But we don't have that word translation to that specific N. And I hope that I can explain what it is. When they stitch this shippo pattern, it is a beautiful pattern with the circles continuing it. At the same time, I want them to understand what it can mean. Not every pattern has this single explanation. Each region may have a different story, but I think for the shippo pattern, it's quite universal. Universal? Oh, I will be. This is a complete switch of topic, but I will be in Japan in 3 weeks. I'm very scared. Really nervous. Scared. Nervous is a little too easy word. I'm pretty scared. It's pretty messed up that going back to my own country can be this scary. Is pretty. I understand it's messed up, but it's kind of like, as DB said, that it's quite difficult to, like, for example, that foreigner who danced can be any race or ethnicities. And it's very wrong to define one category of people as the problem. It does not really, that does not, like, there are people with very much sincere respect regardless. So I am not really criticizing, it's not good, but I'm not criticizing those who dance that. I'm criticizing those who kind of question why it is wrong. While they, like, if the question came from somebody completely non-Japanese saying why the heck is wrong, then it's understandable too. But because she claimed herself that she understood Japanese culture, that's why I'm kind of questioning that. In Hawaii, people take shoes off, but they just leave them in the pile. Shoes on and off seems very specific. In Japan, everything was neatly arranged, etc. It might be a very interesting idea to look into the reason we have that specific place for that. Even small apartment has that kind of space. It's very small, but trauma leaves memories that don't just disappear even with time. No. No shit. No. Yeah, it's not easy. I wish. I mean, we all wish something different at some point, but I love Japan, but there's a reason that I'm not living there. And if I can, I would love to be there as many times as I can, but I can't. It's kind of sad, but okay, that's what it is. Well, if you find those internet meme, like the videos running around, probably it's not internet meme, it's just the video. Check what the other people are reacting to. We can find so many disturbing videos or contents right now on the social media because the goal can be getting attention, and in order to get attention, sometimes stupid things can get a lot of attention. So it's kind of nonsense to judge everything we see online. But I think we can learn a lot of things based on the reaction to that. And that's what we can see as like what we are choosing to leave behind us. So in the same logic, although I'm kind of, criticizing about those who teach Sashiko as expert, like self-expert, self-titled expert, I understand the logic behind it too. They found Sashiko, there's a need around them to teach. And if they were looking for some income source as well, or motivation to make more money, so they decided to teach. It's a very, very simple logic. There's nothing wrong with that. So that itself is not a matter of good or wrong. It's just the reaction to that is something I'm really concerned about. It's all about reaction. It's what we choose and what we do based on that. Whew. Well, one day I hope that I will come up with some of the good explanation, good story that I can explain a lot of things. I don't know if I can or not, but we do have a lot of cultural barriers, language barriers too. But it does not mean that we cannot come to the understanding together. It's just a matter of trying, and it's both. It requires effort from both sides, and I'm willing to do my best. Not my best. I'm willing to take my life to do that. Yay. I've been talking 40 minutes already. See, like Sashiko eats time. I hope that we feel the same way, but it's so unfair. I have a very strong theory that we do not age when we do Sashiko, not because of the hand movement or rehabilitations or like, those occupational therapy perspective. It's just the brain. Like we get aged. Our body get aged because we acknowledge the aging. Time passes. That's quite skeptical, but let's define that we age because we acknowledge the aging. We acknowledge the time passing through. Therefore, we age. If that's the definition, it's not probably correct, but because of that, when we do Sashiko, as we do not feel the time moving much, we do not age that fast. Like if I stitch 1 hour, then if I feel like it's 5 minutes, instead of me aging 100, I mean 1 hour, I only age for the 5 minutes. Because of that's how my brain perceive the reality. And that's my kind of theory. There's no way to prove that, I guess. I don't know if there's any way to prove that, but that explains why I was surrounded by so many elderly people. And Sashiko can extend its Sashiko time machine. Kind of. And also, I don't know if anybody here watch the Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball. There's a room called Seishin Toki no Heya. It's the room that a minute in this world become like a day in that room. So you can spend years in that room, yet in the real life, it's only like a day or so, or even like a few hours. I feel the same for Sashiko too. When I do Sashiko, everything around me moves as normal speed as we live, but my body gets slower. Not only the hand, not only the mind, all the everything gets slow. As the result, we do not age. And I know it's not the really relativity of time. Yes, relativity of time. Our brain completely misunderstand and confuse that. Do you think there's a way to prove that? If there is, that's kind of, I'm interested in that. Okay, this will be the last thread for today. My nose is getting a little weird, so I'll take a little break. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. 9 o'clock is not. It's 9 o'clock here in the Eastern time is the best time for me to be alone and start stitching and doing live streaming. But at the same time, based on the day, it's the peak time of my sleepiness. Like today's. So I might be a little slow. I might be just mumbling something. At the same time as my mumbling might be good when I'm in this kind of situation or condition. I wake up early. I wake up really early to sew when the house is quiet. Yeah, that's that's the beauty of that. We can have a really healthy life when we have something else, like some purpose to do it. it's like, I'm sharing all the privacy, but it can be, it's not my word, but one say that if stitching can be pretty private time, and I respect that. I really appreciate sharing that and respect that. My mom is like that too. My mother does not really want to share her stitching because she kind of find it more personal things to do. So for her, what I'm doing is really insane because it's like sharing the some really personal time, which I really understand. I don't mind sharing it, but it took some time for me to get out of this comfort zone. One point is to preserve the culture tradition. At the same time, one more aspect is like my personal reasons. What is the equivalent of that? Mm, some may feel that this is the process of shaving, shaving or cutting the hair, like making one's getting ready. So it's not something you would like to share like aggressively. And I think my mom think like that. And I don't have that feeling much, so I don't mind sharing how I shave my hair. But for some people, it can be quite uncomfortable things to do. Well, that's why it's very important to kind of keep it open, keep the definition open. I was reading a Sashiko book by Satomi Dailaku, and the concept called mottainai is mentioned. Is this kind of like upcycle? It's more. I need at least 6 hours to explain what mottainai is. It can be mottainai can be the word for the upcycle and recycle. Yes, it can be, but it's really one part of it. The mottainai itself is a word or concept from the Buddhism practice. And to summarize it, I don't want to summarize it that roughly, but the core essence of the mottainai is to neglect the true value of what it has. So not acknowledging the true value of what it does or what it has, what it is or what it does. So, but yeah, mottainai itself can be a wonderful book, I guess. But at the same time, that's another word we cannot really translate without the explanation. So yeah, it's kind of difficult. It's true, it's private, but there is a kind of pleasure to find that people of other culture respect and enjoy it. Yeah, that's why I'm sharing it. And at the same times, I really respect the idea of private, and it's both and if one doesn't mind sharing, it's a good to share. If one wants to keep it private, that's really good to keep it that way. Maybe not private, but personally important, so one wouldn't want to share it with just anyone. Yeah. I think stitching can be very personal, and I think, to be honest, I feel everybody's perspective as the Oops. I am curious about it because I have been stitching these kitchen towels made from repurposed napkin, and people are horrified that I am spending so much time stitching something so ordinary. I try to say that it's the point, but I cannot make it make sense to them. Well, you made yourself clear. That's the whole point of it. But many people don't understand it because it's not art. If they don't find it art, that's not good. If they don't find it beautiful, that's not good. There was actually there was a once comment. I was not upset, or I did not even bark at them back, but one commented that, why do you post a picture of not beautiful Sashiko? And like me, I kind of understood her or his reason to say that, but that's the value system we live in, especially in English. It has to be somewhat inspirational. It's like somewhat surprising, for that matter, for the perspective of beauty and aesthetics and art and stuff like that. So when we spend so much time on something so-called trivial or not significant, some people don't understand that. Like, why don't you buy it? Why don't you buy time for that? Well, I am buying a time to do this kind of thing. So it's kind of difficult to explain those things. And you're not asking for advice, but the advice itself, I advise to myself when I encounter those cases that they are normal. We are not normal. This is quite like I'm the minority side. As much as I kind of bark at the other people that they don't acknowledge the stories behind Sashiko, I think the majority do not care. What they want is just the result. They don't want to know the stories behind it. That's a plus, but if they have to do extra, then they don't care. They rather not to do it. So you here listening to this is quite in the minority side because you care. You may of course care about the result, but at the same time you care for the stories behind it. That's a very, very minority side. Okay. Oh, actually, I completed 1 hour, so it's good. So much fabric on the table. So much fabric. So don't ask me what it's going to be. It will be, I will bring them back to Japan, so. Okay. Yeah. Hi from Uruguay. To transform something ordinary into something extraordinary, you must understand the Japanese philosophy. Thank you. Yes, that's very true. And I'm trying my best to explain that. It just seems less confusing that way. It is. It is. But it's not simple because sometimes it requires a little bit of more time to go through. If they want to get the answer like this, then that's probably too much. Like, they don't want to read a book, they want to just Google it. They don't want to learn from the book, but they want Alexa to tell them what the answer is. And what's kind of scary part is that if the Alexa says something different, then they probably ask somebody else, like Siri, for the different answer. So that's the world we live in. Reading a book for the answer is quite rare. It's the minority thing, right? All right. Thank you so much for coming to the live streaming. I think I can do the next week the same time. So after that, it's gonna be the winter time. So we don't change the time in the US, but for those who are watching from the other side of the world, we will probably move to the we will move to the winter time. So please check the time as well. All right, I hope you have a very good night, and I will see you next week too. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.